I do really just believe that every single person has the ability to accomplish whatever it is.
How you speak to yourself, where your energy is focused, what you're consuming will dictate the direction you're in.
And the people who will do more will be the ones who think about it more, the ones who visualize it the more, the ones who just like are consistently obsessed with achieving that.
If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I am your coach and host, Josh, here with
His co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
This is Motivation Monday. We are here to get you fired up, inspired, and educated for a phenomenal week and just help you become fitter, healthier, and happier in your fitness journey. If you're new around here, we like to start with our first question. So we have viewers just like yourself submit us questions. And the best way to submit a question for Motivation Monday is through our Instagram at ColossusFit. The image art of the Instagram is very similar to this. So you can go ahead and check that out. That'll be the second link in the description down below. If you have a question, something that's on your mind, we would love to answer it for you. But now we're going to jump into that first question to start the episode. And that is, what's your best way to get back on track after sickness? I find myself wanting to get right back to it, but my energy takes a while to come back. Curious for your guys' thoughts.
This is a great question because I feel like it's that time of the year where even like a lot of my client check-ins, I've been helping them navigate. It's just a lot of people are getting sick. And it's funny because even last week when we filmed our episodes, like I didn't even know if I'd make it there because I had a 1-day sickness, which of course we would just film another day and I'd always make it. But all I thought to myself during that one day where I was just feeling horrible was just like how not fun it is, and I kept thinking about how the two worst things in the world is having no energy and having no strength. And although it was just like a 1-day thing, it just kept me thinking about long term how I never want to be in that position. And I kept thinking that if I were to ever grow old when I do, and I don't take care of myself and I don't properly strength train and I don't eat healthy, that's what my life would be like, is just low energy and low strength. And I was just like, man, so first of all, I use that as a motivator. So whenever I'm feeling great or whenever I feel like I don't want to do something, I'm like, I don't want to be weak. I don't want to be frail. And I always want to have the best energy possible because believe me, you guys all know it is not fun with that. So to answer the question, I would say, and this is something I once again went through, is just listening to yourself. And what I mean by this is that you go through a phase where, like, whether you are sick or injured, you're at a point where you're probably feeding yourself less. You're in a more vulnerable position. It's going to take a little bit of time for you to build back up. And even for myself, like my next workout back, it wasn't the most ideal, but I still did the best I could. And I just eased into it and I just listened to my body, right? But everyone's going to be so different within that situation. And something I wanted to kind of share with you on that note is that it's very easy to overthink it as well. So if you have a sickness, and it obviously depends on how long you're out for and can't go to the gym and whatnot, some people will be like, oh, it's going to take me a week to get back to it. I think honestly, a few days, you'll be totally fine as long as you don't overthink it. But it's just really about listening to your body and like not overdoing it, because I've been that person where I just try to get right back to it. And it was cool. Even Josh gave me a tip. He's like, trust me, dude, I had similar thing going on. It's better just to ease into it, take it slow. And I was like, man, you're so right. And I'm glad he shared that with me because I would have just like gone and destroyed my legs, and then I probably would have made it worse. And then I would have had low energy for other things. And it's really about like just listening, just realizing that even if it's like one workout that I missed, and this was probably the first time I only got 4 workouts in the week. But at the same time, I was like, I was recovered quickly. I was good to go. And I was just happy with my decisions on everything. But yeah, just don't beat yourself up. Like that's my ultimate thing. And that I've had to share with a lot of my clients, because some people just feel like they are wasting time. They feel like failures. They're just like, I missed out on this. And it's like, listen, it's all good. It happens to all of us. Just get back to it. Listen to your body and you'll be back to it in no time.
Yeah, with sickness, what's tough is I think it's really easy to be doom and gloom when it's upon you because it feels like the world's over. You feel really weak. You feel like a shell of yourself. You feel like all your progress is gone, your scheduling's gone. It's very frustrating. And especially for me, I've had a harder time being sick over the last few years, especially with two young kids in daycare. Like, it's pretty natural. They're going to bring home a lot of different things, and me being in the gym. And I've worked really hard to try to do everything I can to minimize that, but I still get sick from time to time. And even this year, I had a really tough one. I think it was influenza A or something. I don't know for certain, but I got it. It took me out. It was like one of the worst sicknesses I've had in a long time. It was like a solid week that just nuked my energy. It was hard to like stand up. Basically, all I was eating was soup. It was crazy. And what's nuts is, even for me, working with amazing clients all over the world, I'd start to see different people getting it and having them it affect it too, and seeing how things really go around seasonally and the challenges of that. And I think the reality to remember is we all get sick at some point. It's not fun, but I think it's trying to be smart through it. And what I always like to encourage my clients is, what can you control? So for Kyle, he could do 5 workouts, but if it's dumb to do, why would you do it, right? If you're going to go make everyone else sick, if your energy sucks, it's going to be a bad workout, you're going to slow your recovery. It's not worth you taking 1 step forward to take 2 steps back. Instead, you want to reframe that to take 1 step backwards to take 2 steps forward. So Kyle taking that day off is smart. And even for me, I try to listen to my body with that, because if he takes that day off, that allowed him to come into the gym, train a little bit harder, not be overly beat up, and actually be able to recover properly. So when you're able to start to think through these things, and when I'm sick too, I'm like, what am I in control of? That first day, you may just be in control of trying to eat anything because your stomach's such a mess. And if that's the case, you just try to eat what you can and you be realistic. And then you really focus on hydration, and you focus on getting amazing deep sleep. Like, I'm someone, I never nap, but that one sickness just killed me, and I was like sleeping all day pretty much. But that was the one thing that would help me feel better. So your job when you're sick, you're like, okay, I gotta reset here. I gotta fix this bug that came up, and I need to recover. So you want to maximize your rest. You want to maximize hydration, because the effects of being dehydrated will stick with you for several days. And then most importantly, you're in control of what you eat too. I think sometimes people will feel sick, so they'll want comforts and they'll eat more garbage. That'll make their stomach feel more worse, and it'll make it harder for themselves to recover. So I think being tactical and trying to say, okay, I'm going to eat the best foods that are reasonable for my situation. If you have a crazy stomach bug, of course, you can't be having a ton of protein. That's going to be really tough on you. But for some other sicknesses, I'll really focus on having lots of fruit and lots of protein, lots of good quality, simple foods or shakes. And I'll just try to do everything I can to put myself in a position to recover faster and better. And then unfortunately, also, you're at the whim of your body. And that's where actually resting is good. And on the contrary, depends on the sickness, but getting out on a walk is amazing for your immune system. Being in the fresh air, especially with that influenza, like, it was really tough in my lungs, but the fresh air actually is something that helps a lot with that. So getting out on non-intensive walks and doing what you can. So it doesn't need to be like, oh, I'm going to be super hoorah because I'm sick and I'm going to destroy myself, and what happens happens. I used to try to do that, and I would just delay my sickness over several weeks. Instead, I'm like, what's in my control? What's in front of me? I'm going to be super hydrated. I'm going to get great rest. I'm going to use this as a time to recover and reset. I'm going to eat great foods. That's really all that becomes in your control. And when this does happen, you embrace it and be patient. Additionally, my next tip is, when it happens, is to not rush back into it per se. I think some people will get really, really sick. They'll be dehydrated, they'll be puking, whatever it is, and they'll be a mess, and they'll be out for a week, and then they'll go in trying to do their same maxes. I think there's no shame with bridging back into it, and you got to call yourself out if you're just being lazy. Like, perhaps quad extensions, you could try pushing that weight up a bit and you'll get a little sore. But if you're squatting like 405 for 8 reps or something, you get really sick for a week and you just jump in and say, I'm going to do it. I need to do it exactly the same. That may not be smart. So usually I challenge my clients to listen to their body, to just get back into the gym, because even that can seem impossible. And it sucks if you're out for a week and you're sick and you're not eating the same amount of calories, you'll lose some weight. The soreness will beat you up. But it's amazing how quickly you can reset and readapt to your routine. So I think just being patient, understanding that. And if you look back to any horrible sickness you had, I'm sure in the moment it felt like you were done. Life was over as you know it. You're never going to recover. Your muscle would be all gone. But I'm sure now, if a reasonable time has passed, you're like, okay, it wasn't a big deal. I got through it. onward and upward.
Yeah, and even like on that note, when you're getting back to it, and this can go for like anything, such as a setback with family and work, and maybe some people having a child, even injuries and sicknesses and like all that stuff, they're kind of grouped into one. It's just a certain amount of time off when your body's not, at its strongest or at its peak. And I even had to have a conversation with a client today. He was just coming back from an unfortunate injury, and one of his biggest things that he said he was struggling with is just like, this is what I usually would do. So like I'm trying to push past that, like kind of that ego thing. And I see this happen a lot, especially when it comes to coming back from a sickness, where I'm just like, okay, I'm always using 225 on the bench for this many reps. Like I need to do it. And it's like, it just try not to be a hero. Like once again, you don't want to be, just making excuses for no reason. But like when you do look at a situation where you're dehydrated, you likely had less calories, like your sleep may have been a bit worse, like all that other stuff, it's just totally normal to take some time. And I just want to talk about that from an injury standpoint as well, because I talk to a lot of people who are just like really struggling mentally, where they're just like, this is what my PR used to be. I used to be this strong, and now I'm using 15s. And it's like, just stay the course, just continue to show up, build brick by brick, and you will become stronger. But ultimately, like I promise you, if you use that potential injury that you've had in the past or a sickness as motivation, it is the greatest thing. Just thinking how amazing it is to be talking on a microphone to you guys right now and just not be like wanting to go rush off and like lay down or just do whatever happens during sicknesses. Like it's just so motivating. Even if I'm like, honestly, last week when I wanted to do that leg day to not be able to do it, now I'm like, you know what, I'm going to make the most of it. So use it as motivation. Don't let your ego get in the way. Take care of yourself and you'll be better in no time.
And to me, when I'm sick, it's a great reflection of how amazing I normally feel, that I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm high energy. And when that's sucked out of me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this reminds me why I always want to work to get myself in a position where I can be the healthiest, the most high energy, the most excited, the most well rested, because that is not a way to feel. And even if you're feeling like 20% off your max, it is a significant difference and is not at all fun. So hopefully those tips help you. Another good general rule of like sickness is if it's below the throat, I would not go to the gym. I would try to not exercise as heavily then. Like usually that's a thing. If it's above it, usually it's something you can bounce through, but that's been a general pretty good rule that's been good for me. Another good thing that's always helped is I've tried to wash my hands before and after a workout. You're going to pass around a lot of germs in the gym, and naturally as you're all sweating, grabbing bars, doing different things. So it is a small little thing you can do, but I found that alone, like a really deep hand wash after I work out, that has helped me a bit. Obviously it's tough and you're at the mercy of pretty much everyone around you and your kids and your family and different things, but just some small extra tips there. But now we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into our quotes. And I'm going to start with mine because I liked it. So I was watching a video today. I had a different quote originally, but I was watching a video on the power of law of attraction or visualization. And the quote was, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And I'm not someone who believes you can just manifest and think your way to achieving something, but I also love the analogy that if you buy a blue car, you're going to see more blue cars. I think what you put at the forefront of your mind, how you speak to yourself, where your energy is focused, what you're consuming will dictate the direction you're in. And I love these motivational videos on this topic because you'll see all these people that just were obsessed with their vision. So a David Goggins, think the great fighters, the great athletes like Ronaldo, they'll just talk about to them how failure wasn't an option and the path they knew they wanted to take and the consistent effort they did to get there. So I think it's really important if you spend time and you really truly know what your goal is. We spoke about this recently on the podcast, but if you really just think highly of yourself, you envision big things, you have big hopes, big dreams, and you really buy into them, it's amazing to see them happen. And I think even a good example for us last year, we were looking at our situation, we wanted more growth. We noticed even our YouTube was incredibly stagnant. That was something that used to grow. That's how we started. That's how we got our rise, if you will. And last year, I just think remember saying to Kyle, like, we're consistent with our podcast. We need to be consistent with our YouTube. We need to put more effort into it. We need to do higher quality videos. And we took a stab at it and nothing really happened. Honestly, we kept doing that work. We were getting very low views. It wasn't getting as much momentum. But I noticed last month in particular, it was like the first month we got closer to 1 million views in a month, which would be like the really high end, probably higher than we've ever been before, which was so cool. But we've been working on it all year and we weren't entirely consistent. There'd be a month or two we'd miss, but we've created better systems. We had that belief. I had that goal. Kyle had that goal. We bought into it and we refused to waver. And just the same, like we saw it in our mind. So it's cool to see it come together, even though it took time. It took just being consistent. It took allowing things to compound. So I think it's easy to say, oh, I visualized this, or I wanted this, or I want to be really fit. You tried once and failed, then you quit. That's not fair either. Like you need to be consistent. You need to keep trying and readjusting and readapting. But I just thought that was a really cool example of how hard work pays off. And it took a year and now we're way further ahead. And now we want to set even bigger goals and we want to get to that 1 million views in a month. We want to get to 200,000 subscribers. We want to have more of an impact and make better videos. We talked about our editor. We got a YouTube editor now to further improve the quality of those things. So I think that's what's awesome though, is just set big goals, really think about them, visualize them, believe in them. And it's amazing to see things come together, even with this podcast, with our impact of coaching and helping create over 5,500 amazing transformations. Like that is amazing, right? And it's been a consistent process where we've believed in it, we've executed, and it's amazing to see it come to fruition.
I honestly think this is one of the biggest like secrets and hacks of just anyone who's accomplished anything out there. Even today, I wrote down on my drive, I was just listening to a speech. So afterwards, I wrote down 2 notes and it said, what you focus on the most in your life is what will grow. And then this was Josh's quote from a couple weeks ago, but I love it. It's just where your focus goes, your energy follows. And I just think it's so powerful because like, even I've been listening to the School of Hard Knocks. He's a guy who interviews a lot of successful people and he'll go around and ask, hey, how did you get this? How did you build this? And a lot of like what they've done is obviously hard work, but it's just like knowing what they want and just like giving it absolutely all, like 100% knowing I'm going to give it all to get there. Like when someone gets a car, their dream car, he's just like, hey, like I went to the dealership every day for an entire year. I put it on my vision board. I thought about it. I drove it. I test drove it. I did all these different things. And like, I don't love the whole hoorah, like you can do whatever and follow your passion. I try not to think that way, but I do really just believe that every single person has the ability to accomplish whatever it is. And the people who will do more will be the ones who think about it more, the ones who visualize it the more, the ones who just like are consistently obsessed with achieving that. And even for us to like just explode the YouTube channel. Like if I was just, and Josh were just like, hey, let's do some good things on this YouTube channel this year. But if it's like, we bring on a new thumbnail guy, we bring on a new editor, we're constantly studying, we're constantly trying to evolve. And we're just really like, it's on the top of our mind. And every month we go film videos and shorts. And like, there's just no way that you're ever going to fail when you just go all in. And that reminds me of your fitness journey, right? Like if you're someone who's like, I'm going to do everything it takes. I'm going to learn, I'm going to study, I'm going to hire a coach. When I go grocery shopping, I'm going to read the labels. I'm going to listen to everything Coach KG and Josh says. Like I'm going to think about it. I'm going to visualize my workouts. I promise you, you'll be absolutely unstoppable. You just have to really believe, and I believe in you truly.
Yeah, and an additional thought I had was just about making it easy for yourself. So we used to try to be like, okay, we're going to film in gyms, and filming wasn't as popular as it was now. So very often someone would come up and say, what are you guys doing? Like, we can't have you doing that. We're going to have to ask you to leave. It was like brutal. So like it became so hard to do. And then there'd be certain places we could film, or we'd say we'd vlog, or we'd film and voice. It just was a mess. But now like there's so many really filming friendly gyms, like influencer type gyms. So even for us, we drive out there and we'll film our videos and we'll be there just with the intention of doing that, not to work out, just to make amazing high quality content. And we'll try and get a lot of great content done. And just doing that like once a month for us, usually we can prepare a lot of the videos for the month. It's been way more realistic. The videos have been way more high energy, high quality. We have a better system and a process for it. So that being realistic was so much better. And bring that back to fitness. If you just say, I'm only going to eat healthy and I'm always going to meal prep now, but you never have time. You're always slammed at work, and you say you're going to start cooking, but you know you have no free time. Like, it's not going to happen, right? Like, in that situation, instead you'd be like, okay, I'm working like crazy. Maybe you're making really good money. So instead you're like, I'm going to pay a meal prep service, right? So you actually got to ask yourself what's realistic for your situation. And I think that goes such a long way as well. It's like being honest towards that. Like, if you're someone who wants to train for an Ironman, but you have no time, that just might not be realistic, right? Maybe you need to reframe that goal and just do one smaller event and allocate less time to it. Some people do have the time to do that, but I think you do need to make sure your goals match your lifestyle and your scenario. You need to find ways to make it easier to do so. And I think there's some really high level tips that are really small in action that produce amazing results. So things I'm always telling my clients are being in their spreadsheet. I have a centralized spreadsheet just for my clients where we put all their data, so I can see all their macronutrient data, their weight, their energy levels, their food satiety, their workout intensity. And what's awesome is it's phenomenal data for me to coach them, to help them get phenomenal results. But it's also self-reflection for them. I'm in my spreadsheet every day and I'm looking and I'm like, oh shoot, I was over my calories a little bit yesterday, and I know I stayed up a bit that night, so my energy was low and I was really hungry probably because I stayed up late. Like, I need to make sure to get to bed. Like, it's amazing the different data you can infer, or you can notice, I was 5 grams under my protein the last 3 days. Can't let this become a habit. Let me get above it. So that alone is such a high level, just small thing you can do. Another example is pre-logging. If you track stuff before you eat it, it is so hard to fail. You can take it a step further by using a food scale or measuring. The more you can improve your food accuracy, it truly just becomes intake versus outtake, right? You have full control here. You can choose how much weight you want to lose. It becomes very linear, very consistent. And the more you can move to that accuracy, the better. Consistent gym times is another example of this. There's so many things that just you can overlook that are really small, like tracking your food, that lead to such big results, especially being on a great program as well. That's another one. But I just find the more you can do these things to make it easier to help yourself out and just to be realistic, it connects everything in this full sense of just making the journey not as difficult as it needs to be.
Yeah, and it's funny because I did a speech last week at a real estate conference. It was like a cool little event with 50, 60 people. And one of my first tips, because everyone there, like some of them were landlords, some of them were real estate agents, some of them were real estate investors. And I was like, you guys are all busy. Like, I don't think I really know anybody who's just like, yeah, I've got 17 hours a day to meal prep and do whatever. Like, everyone's busy in their own way. And my biggest tip for these people was just make it easier on yourself, reduce friction. Like, everything Josh just said, like I was going over in the presentation, because I'm like, if you guys make it so physically hard for you to just succeed, which for some reason people love to do that. They love to just say, I'm going to go to the gym 3 hours a day and meal prep 4 times a week and do all this crazy stuff. But it's just like, try to nail down the basics and make it as easy as possible. And if you can make it as easy as possible, you'll consistently show up. And when you get that way by reducing friction, and honestly, I could go on for days. So I'm gonna leave that there, but I'm gonna jump into my quote, which I really like, and it's something that I have been thinking about ever since last night. So it is: pressure is a privilege. Pressure makes a diamond. So I kind of put together 2 quotes, and it came from me just hitting a pretty cool jump snowboarding, and it was a rail that I never thought I could do. But long story short, I failed twice. I didn't complete it. And then we had a $10 bet with a friend, and he ended up completing it, and I was up next to do it, and I did it. So it was just pretty cool, because I said, honestly, if he didn't do it, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. It was just like the pressure was on, I was in the spotlight, and I had to get it done, right? So I'm pretty competitive, more than most, but I thought about the journey, and I kept thinking about like how, if we can add pressure to our fitness journey, even though it's kind of a random example, it makes it so much easier to succeed. You know, if I were to say, listen up, you know, you've got some weight to lose, we all know it, you have some great goals, and you have this much time left in your life, like, I know it's kind of a deep example, you will absolutely do everything it takes because the pressure's on. You're like, I've only got so much time, I need to do it, right? Whereas some people, they just kind of feel like they have the rest of their life, or, you know, it's like they failed for many years and they keep going and they're like, what's an extra year, right? So if you were to sit down and just say, how can I make my journey so like powerful in the sense where I'm going to put pressure on myself. You will always find a way to make it work. And I know it's a random example, but just something to think about. You could even just have a bet with someone, like real stakes we talk about. I just think these things are so powerful. I know a lot of people who just keep putting things off for the rest of time, and it's just because they feel like they have the rest of time. So I just wanted to share that as my quote for today.
Yeah, we talk about real stakes a lot, and this is an example, like one of the many facets of why we're able to get our clients such amazing out of this world results, like 5 to 10 times faster than they would on their own, because it's real, right? You have someone watching what you're doing. I'm watching your nutrition. I'm giving you tips, and I'm on your team. I'm your coach. I'm your guide. I'm there to support you. I'm not there to judge you. But that accountability makes it real. That saying I'm going to invest in myself, that makes it incredibly real. So that alone just produces such amazing results. An example of Kyle, he wanted to do it, it'd be cool, but he didn't need to do it. When you really are like, okay, I need to do this, I need to get this done. If you got powerlifting meet coming up or a run or something, it can kind of force that action to reach that end result, which can be really cool. So you can reverse engineer it. And that's where even I love just challenging my clients with like monthly goals, 3-month goals, and just helping them realize they can do these things and have that pressure. So pressure is a good thing. It's easy to see it as bad, and stress inherently is horrible, but that is how we grow. Similar to how we grow a muscle, we stress it, we strain it, it breaks down, it grows, and it becomes stronger. So I've been talking a lot, even to Kyle, about, I love the quote, sometimes in life you need to bite off more than you can chew and then figure out how to chew it or swallow it, I suppose. And I just think it's such a good quote because it's a little crazy sometimes. Like, you got to embrace the chaos, you got to dig deep, especially in the winter. We've been talking about that. Like, that's why there's all this talk of a winter arc. It can be a time to really buckle in and just kind of lock into what you know you need to do. And sometimes in life too, things can get away from you. They can become diluted. They can become saturated from what they were. And then you can say, I got to lock back in. I got to revert to these old habits. I got to have my non-negotiables. I need to be consistent, and pulling back to that can be immensely powerful.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. And a conversation I was having recently with someone who actually ended up joining our coaching program from the real estate talk that I had. He was just basically saying, man, I've been trying for a while. He's just like, I need to invest in myself for me to show up and do anything. And it was like probably one of the first times I've heard someone just like full on admit that, because sometimes people are afraid to, need to do that. But honestly, there's like no shame in just knowing that you need to like show up by just like putting an investment there, right? And that's why I believe, like Josh was saying, our clients just get such great results, because it's like, hey, I'm like, for me, obviously you're paying me to like just do everything I can. And I said, dude, I'm going to just do everything I can to see you succeed. Like, that's my duty. It's my obligation. That's what I'm here for. And he's like, well, I'm also paying money, so I'm going to do everything too. And I'm like, amazing. Like, it's going to be great. So I'm really excited to help him. Shout out to Hart. He's very busy, and he owns a landlord company, which is crazy. Like, he has so much on the go. He's just telling me about his lifestyle, and there's just a lot going on there. But like, I even said to him, I was like, he's got 2 kids, so they're pretty similar ages to Josh. So 3 years old and 1-year-old. And like, what's so cool is even I could just see him operate at different hours of the night. Like, even he'll come home, he'll get his spreadsheet all filled out. He'll go get his workout done when he can and just make things work. But that's what's so cool about this journey. And I guess I'm going to be jumping into like a client shout out. And this is just so cool because like, you can meet someone where they're at. And that's one thing I've really spent a lot of time thinking about in the last, I guess you could say, couple of weeks, especially just from doing so many amazing client check-ins, is that everybody is so unique. And it's just like so cool because I have some people who have 0 kids. They're just getting out of school. They're doing some incredible things. They've got obviously quite a few clients who just have crazy work hours, kids, everything like that. And my favorite thing is being able to take a look at who I'm actually helping and like their entire situation, between their work hours, between what they can actually accomplish and in a given day, their overall goals, and just their past history. Sometimes I have to figure out how many times they've failed to be able to help them succeed. And, we all have mistakes in our journey, but everyone is so unique and so different. And even my client, Kathleen, that I'm shouting out today, what's so cool is, once again, she's living in New York. She has a very amazing group of friends. I could tell she likes to go out. She likes to travel. She likes to do all that stuff, but she just wanted to feel more confident when doing all of that. So it's really cool because I was able to put her on the most perfect workout routine, help her with her nutrition, help her with her macros, hold her accountable, accountable, and just really meet her where she's at. You can see on the screen some photos of her, a full body recomposition. She lost about 25 pounds, which is absolutely phenomenal. And now she's set up for life. I love being able to see people who are just in such a different situation because they learned a lot throughout the program. And that's another big thing is when you join us here at Colossus Fitness, you learn a lot about how to succeed for the rest of your life. So right now we do have a few spots that we're opening up for February, which is awesome. And all you have to do is just fill out the first link down below. It's an application. It should take you 5 to 6 minutes. Like honestly, just put in as much detail as possible because these applications, we're going to be reading through them and making sure that you're the right fit so we can properly help you. But honestly, if you're thinking about it and you've never joined us, I just truly believe you will be so blown away. If you like our free stuff, you're going to absolutely love our paid program, and you will be forced to show up consistently because you're paying for something. I promise you, we guarantee your results. There is literally no risk involved.
And together we cannot fail. That's the best part. We fully guarantee our program. We're so confident what we can do, and having someone on your side cheerleading you, grounding you, it's immensely powerful. It's going to change everything for you, and I'm pumped to see the amazing results you get. But we're going to reach back into the mailbag for our second question, and that is, what are your thoughts on the crazy steroid usage these days with the younger crowd?
So yeah, I think it's honestly pretty crazy. Unfortunately, there's just a big audience and like a massive just younger crowd. I don't go on TikTok. Actually, I don't really enjoy it at all. But I do know that that's where a lot of this stuff is taking place. And I've heard a lot about it. But basically, I just think like what's crazy is there's so many influences. Like what I will say is that when there's just a large influence, people just follow it. As an example, we've seen a lot of younger women strength train and actually do it properly, which has just been so amazing. And that's because there's just better influences. There's a lot of Gymshark athletes. There's a lot of people promoting lifting. There's so many great form videos. And to me, this just makes my day to see. Whereas on the other end, like obviously there's some negative influences. There's just people out there promoting steroid usage. There's guys like Sam Sulek, who's quite, young. And for a lot of people, they're just like, that's what I want to be. And that's what I want to do. So what I will say on that note is I feel like the younger crowd, it's just not ideal. Like if someone's, 40 years old, they're like, hey, you know what? I'm just at a point where I've been lifting for 25 years. I want to, start to add something in, whatever. Like, first of all, I'll never judge, but I just think it's so tough when there's like a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old or people who are just like so fresh and they've like barely been training and they're just like, this is what I'm going to do. And I can promise you there will be a certain point in their life where they will end up regretting it. Like you see a lot of, unfortunately, bodybuilders who have been abusing for quite a few years just start to go down the wrong path and then they end up passing away, which is just very unfortunate, of course. But I just think it's so tough when like younger people especially are so heavily influenced. They haven't really figured much out. They are trying to figure things out in their life, where they want to go, what they want to be, all that other stuff. And so, for us, like our biggest mission has just been really to help people feel better and like live a longer and healthier and happier life. And none of that involves any of the stuff that's going on within the steroid side of things, right? Because I truly believe like for a lot of these people, there's just going to be so many downsides when in reality, like the big upside will be like, hey, maybe you can step on stage, you can be super jacked, you'll be bigger than everyone around you and stuff like that. But like when you list out all the negatives, it's just like there's so many of them. So yeah, just a random thought that I had, and I wanted to share my thoughts on that subject specifically.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just comes from social media. Even we started out, social media was just finding its footing. Instagram was kind of starting out. Snapchat was still pretty big, but it wasn't like it is now. And even that was kind of my claim to fame. I started when I was 17, so there'd be photos of me and it'd be like 220 lean at 17 years old, 17-year-old deadlifting 475. Like that was my whole thing. Is anything I did was 17 this. And obviously I'm a bigger person. I have good genetics. I played a ton of sports. I have a lot of advantages there. And I worked hard. I did a lot of research. I did a lot of great things. But to other people too, they're probably like, why am I not at this point? And now you're seeing like 15-year-olds. They're like bigger than me that are just like pumping gear that look crazy. And it's such a norm now, I think. And anything that becomes normalized, especially with social media, is so tough. And I think it's really glamorized, and there becomes this vibe that that's what you need to do, when in reality people don't typically care that much. And what's tough too is at that age there's such a nice route. Like there's a route where you can actually just train hard, you can eat a lot of food, usually your mom's cooking for you, which is an amazing blessing. Like you do amazing just to eat more food and actually just start training hard, get a coach, get on a training regimen, and you can look insane and you're still going to be top 1% for your age. There's no need to do anything like that. And I think what's tough is they'll make these decisions and they'll do like damage you can't take back, right? Like they'll completely change how their hormones function. And also too, one thing I've noticed a lot with steroid usage from what we've seen with influencers over the years, it often leads to drug usage. I think that's something a lot of people don't talk about. But if you look like Larry Wheels is a great example. I forget his Caleb, what's his name? Callum Von Mager is another example. I don't quote me, but he's doing like crack or meth. Like it's really sad. These people that look amazing, they look like the pinnacle of health. But I think once you start to normalize, like I have a problem, I can just do this to look better. And I've noticed too, like people with cycles, usually the tell is they'll look insane at the gym. One day you're going to see them be like, what the heck? Like you look so good. Your muscle bellies are full. You look crazy. Then you see them 6 months later when they're off cycle and they look like they've never lifted. Like it makes no sense. Whereas naturals like me, maybe if you caught me first thing in the morning, no pump, I'd look different to how I looked when I'm pumped. But people on juice just look pumped all the time. But I'm also not a fan of these highs and lows because to me, the second I don't look good, my solution is going to be I got to work harder and lock in. It's going to be I got to pump more sauce. So that's where my logical, rational brain has always stayed away from it because I'm like I want to push myself to my natural pinnacle. I want to, and I'm of the belief that if you push yourself to your natural pinnacle, you're of a normal age, and then you want to do it, so be it. That's up to you. That's your decision. It's not something I choose to do. But at least you could say you've earned it. You push your natural potential. You've built an amazing base. I was at Disney World. I think I talked about it, or Disneyland, one or the other one. I can't remember. And I was waiting for a Starbucks and there was kids in front of me and he was saying how like he wants to take the steroid. His friend has it. And his other friend was like, bro, you're 14. You don't need steroids. Wait till you're 16. That's when I started. And I was just thinking like, what the heck? And they're these skinny little dudes. And they're saying that no matter what they eat, they can't gain muscle. They can't gain weight. But it's also like you're 14. You don't need to be huge, first of all. And honestly, the solution for most people that want to take steroids, especially young men, is just eat more food. And the same too with younger women. If you just eat more food and train hard, you will look pretty elite. Like especially at that age, like you're so active, your hormones are pumping. Like if you just give more fuel, put on more muscle, you'll look pretty freaking amazing. So I do think it's pretty nuts. Like it's definitely sad to see, and you're seeing the effects of some of it. And it's like doing a lot and sacrificing a lot of your health for short-term glory, and especially like to really impress people you don't know that don't care about you, who don't care about your downfall after. Like it is very sad, and I think a lot of that is a reflection of that, but it's always been around, but it's definitely more prevalent now.
I truly believe the day someone were to start to take steroids, they will never be happy with their physique going forward. And the reason I say that is because you're always going to want more. You know, you start to gain a little bit of muscle, you want more. Okay, let's up the dosage. And then if there ever is a time where you have to actually go off cycle, you will be extremely upset with the way that you look. You've lost a lot of muscle. You went from being this massive jack dude who's pumped up, veins popping, cap delts, everything like that, to potentially looking like you don't lift. You'll be very insecure. You'll be very unhappy. And I just see stuff like this happen so often. People become depressed. People become unhappy because they've tied their entire identity with being that massive dude. And I've just worked so hard in my life to just become happy and just like be the strongest, fittest version of myself. And I'm just genuinely at a really, really good point. So it's hard to see people struggle with that because they think they're going to be happier. And then long term, it has all these different effects on their mind. And it's just a lot of bad things taking place. But I think what Josh said is so important. A lot of these guys have said, hey, I just want to be a bit bigger. You know, I'm 17, 18, whatever, so maybe a bit older. They start with a little low dose. And then once again, most people who are just really, really into the gym and then also mix it with a bit of, you know, the steroids, they already have pretty obsessive personalities. So it starts from one thing to another. And then once again, into the harder drugs. And I've seen so many downfalls of these people in the fitness industry. It's crazy. Like people who end up dying, people who are on hospital beds, people who are just really, really struggling. And for me, once again, it's just work hard, train great, eat good food. I don't need to be the biggest in the room. Maybe I'd make a bit more money if I had these crazy, crazy transformations like some of them. But honestly, I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. And like our biggest mission here, and I don't believe will ever change, is just to be healthy, fit, and happy. You know, the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast, right? And that's why we just promote good stuff, good eating, nice training, and all that great stuff. And you'll never hear us change our messaging.
Yeah, and I honestly just think it's too much power. I was talking about this with my wife yesterday. I was saying there's someone from the gym I know who clearly has done steroids, and there'll be phases. Same thing. They'll look amazing, or they'll gain a lot of weight. They'll look really out of shape. And I remember they asked me, they're like, "How do you like stay so fit and lean like all the time? Like what the heck?" And to me, like, especially with something like Anavar, something that helps you lose a ton of weight while eating whatever you want. To me, if I start to get overweight, my solution is going to be to take Anavar, not really change my diet, do a little bit of cardio, and I'm going to look peeled. That to me is how I solve for that issue. So the second you take that out of the equation, you're lost. You can't lose weight. It's going to feel impossible. It's not going to feel the same because you've had this cheat code. And that's where I'm a true believer in life. Anything that sounds too good to be true is. And you might even say, okay, well, you say your coaching is so good, like it's the best thing ever. It's freaking amazing. My coaching is the best. But once again, the same drawback there is you actually need to do the work. I can't spoon feed you meals. I can tell you exactly what to eat, your exact macros. I can make it so simple. I can make you the best routine custom made for you, but you still need to do it, right? Whereas things like this, it's truly like take a pill and you're good, but there's such an after effect consequence. And if you're not able to think long term or delay gratification, that's where you hurt yourself. So to me, I'd rather learn, like for me, I know my calories. I know what to do if I had a bad week. I know what to do if I want to gain a little bit of muscle or if I want to lose some fat. I know what I need to do if I want to go compete for a show in 3 months. It becomes quite easy, and that's something I try to teach all my clients as well. So that's where I really recommend staying away from short fixes. It's the same example of if you're sad and you eat your feelings, you're going to end up very overweight, more sad, in a worse cycle. It's going to be a cycle of despair. So instead, I think like avoiding these things, and obviously it's hard when you're young and even how your brain works. Like I was saying to Kyle, even like my capacity for risk since having kids is radically different. Like it's nuts. Even looking at old videos of us when we were 17, 18, 19, 20, it's an entirely different situation. So I think it's tough. And I think if you know someone like that, you can obviously try and educate them, try and push them, try and say, hey, like you're leaving a lot on the table when you can be improving this, this, and this. But obviously sometimes it is hard to communicate that. Last but not least, out of the mailbag, I see you guys have 55,000 followers on Instagram, which is crazy impressive. How did you get there? I'm in the real estate and I want to grow an established brand. So what's really cool actually is this question is from Kyle's real estate presentation. My scheduling didn't work out the best for it, and Kyle's like, yo, I'm just going to get this done. We did one before, which was really cool. I don't know how many people are there. I'd like to say about 80, but it's a decent crowd, right? And I know a lot of people have a fear of public speaking, but it was absolutely awesome just to see him get up there, crush it, talk about our program, talk about our beliefs, and especially to other entrepreneurs, other people that are hungry to grow and invest in themselves. And sometimes too, I think people will either go really hard in business or they'll go really hard in fitness, and rarely will they do both. But I think the greatest benefit comes when you're doing them together, because when you're working hard on your discipline, your business and growing there, and you're working hard on your health and your fitness, they fuel each other and they build into each other, right? The discipline in both spheres helps. Having great fitness, great energy, great mindset, excitement, like that's going to fuel you to do better in business. So I just think that's absolutely amazing. You crushed that. That was really cool. And yeah, so take away the question.
Yeah, and in the coming weeks, I'll unlist the video on YouTube that I made, like the entire presentation. I'll let you guys know and I'll share it. It was really, to me, a great one just to be able to help people who are busy, like every person here, as I mentioned a few times. But it was cool. Like this lady asked me, she is a realtor. She does stuff in Orlando as well as here, and she's all over the place. And yeah, basically it was funny. Like my initial answer was like, the first thing we did was just like collab with people. Like we just collabed with like-minded people, and even was so cool as this 2016 trend was just coming around. I'm sure some of you guys saw it, but I was just like really reflecting, like that was our big year of just growth. Like we took a lot of risks. We weren't making much in the business. YouTube was not really doing much. We just flew around to film with Scott Herman and Anabolic Aliens and Goku Flex. And I said for her, like to her, the first thing that really helped us, especially on YouTube, was just like getting around other like-minded people, collabing with them, getting on their page, bringing them on our page. And that really started everything. And then the second thing was just the consistency, right? Like I love to be able to say we've done 770 podcasts, we've done 2,100 almost Instagram posts, we've done almost 1,000 YouTube videos, and like I showed her it, and then I followed her, took a look at her page, and she had a really nice aesthetic to it, but she had 30 posts, and I said, you just got to post more. You just got to be more consistent. And I said, the day that you stop caring about what people think on there and you just post and you're consistent with it and you get to a couple hundred posts and a couple thousand will be the day that everything starts to come together. Because honestly, I'll never forget the day that Josh said to me, he's like, hey, if you had the chance to get unlimited lottery tickets for free, how many would you take? I'm like, I'll take 1 million. Like, I want to win the lottery. And then he said, if you could do that with media, like that's the way that media is set up. Like if I were to post 1 million different Instagram posts, that's just a free lottery ticket. At some point, one of them will blow up. I'll even learn about what I enjoy doing and like be able to help people. Like it's just all amazing stuff, like shorts, YouTube videos, podcasts. Like the more I do it, it's just unlimited opportunities to win the lottery. And a lot of people are scared to do it because they want it to be perfect. I know so many people who have just never posted, who are just afraid of what people will say. And I've finally gotten past that point many years later where I'm just like, I'm going to post what I want. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to try to help people. And that's it. And that's why we're able to post 2 to 3 times a day sometimes. So yeah, that's my little rant on that subject.
Yeah, consistency more than anything. I also think when you make content for it to go viral and to get a ton of views and for you to be super famous and cool, it always fails. I think anytime you do something you're passionate about or you believe in, and for us, it's always been about helping people as well as communicating our journey, our growth, our mindset, the things we struggle with as we push forward. Like obviously, you know us from this podcast. And once again, with our YouTube, there's a lot of really fun things back there. And I was even showing like my 2 boys, like the video of us in Dubai and just fun, good memories of that and the different things. It's always cool to be able to visit those old episodes. And we want to get back to vlogging. Like if you like what we have to say on podcasts, you want to see more behind the scenes, more of our workouts, more of our journeys. Right now we're updating a lot of form videos, and we also want to update our free form guide, our personal trainer in your pocket, to over 100 exercises. So we're filming and working hard towards that, especially with the new year. We just want to get a lot of great content out for the best form, because if you have good form and you're on an amazing routine, you've checked that box, right? The training side is nice and maximized, which is absolutely great. And that's something we specialize in. So definitely check out our YouTube. I'll make that the 3rd link in the description. So once again, the run through for it. The first is our coaching. We're also going to be revamping our website to better communicate what we do, because I know perhaps you're like, what is online coaching? I don't fully get it. And if you're curious, shoot us a message. We'd love to explain and talk to you more about what we do and why it could help you. So you can DM us on Instagram, which is the 2nd link, or you can just apply in that 1st link. And then the 3rd link will be our YouTube channel if you want to check us out over there. But thank you for tuning in. That was a really fun episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. We've been working really hard on these episodes lately. We're trying to improve everything, the audio, the video, the timing, the questions, the excitement, the research. So if you're enjoying it too, please let us know. Leave a review. It does mean a lot. Share it to your Instagram story. Tag us if you do, so we can give you a hug back pretty much. And make sure to tag us at Colossus Fit. But we'll see you in the next one. Have a fantastic week. Peace out.